Hello, my name is Ian Dutton. I'm the editor of the South African Medico Legal Reports, and welcome to the South African Medico Legal Reports course on the Expert Witness Guide and the training component. I will deal with the guide and how that fits in, but let's just start off with the course learning objectives and outcomes. Firstly, we're looking to give you a sound understanding of the practical application of the general principles of expert evidence. The reason for that is what we want to give you is a bedrock of understanding of the theoretical aspect, and then take that and apply it in practice. So we always give you a practical skill, or we're driving towards a practical skill. But those practical skills need to be superimposed on very solid, firm principles which are applied by the courts all the time. So what we look at is general principles, gives you your kind of overview of the map, your 30,000 foot overview. Very important to get those parameters in place so that you understand your general context and the general lie of the land. And then the second outcome will be a sound understanding of the practical application of the expert evidence. So a practical application of that evidence, we're always, as I say, matching the actual application to the theoretical foundation. And then thirdly, understand how to make the expert report persuasive and to set the expert up for success. So we want to focus in on the expert report. There are a number of reasons for that. Firstly, it is a very important document in any litigation. We will deal with that in more detail when we get to it. But just as a general comment, what's particularly important about the expert report is that in order to write the report, you've got to get your case theory right, and you've got to have your argument worked out in order to write the report. Now, you may not be consciously aware of that, but in fact, when you're writing an expert report, you're in essence making an argument. And in order to make the argument, you've got to have a case theory. So we will deal with that when we get to the expert report section. But it's that case theory that really is what the entire process rests on, and it all sort of locks together around that case theory. And then also to understand key practical aspects of appearing in court. So once you've got your case theory, you've got your argument, you've set it in your report, you've dealt with all your pretrial procedures, which we will also deal with, and we tie that in. So appearing in court isn't only if you get in the witness box, it's actually preparing for that appearance as well. And for instance, meetings between experts, meetings with your side's legal representatives, anything of that nature, any addendums to the report, anything of that nature, all falls under the general umbrella term of appearing in court. And then of course there are the specifics of appearing in court. How do you appear in court? How do you address the judge? How do you deal with questions? How do you deal, importantly, with evidence in chief and cross-examination? All of those things come into it as well. And we'll have a look at that again, give the sort of principles that underlie appearing in court. What are the legal principles? What do the courts expect of you, in other words? And then have a look at a practical application of that. And then a subject which then applies to all of this is having a clear understanding of the key high court cases and rules of court and how they apply to expert witnesses. What's important about this is that, look, there's a lot of cases. It's not really possible without organization for an attorney or an advocate to stay on top of those cases, much less an expert. But what we do is we give you the key cases in order for you to have access to the principles that run through those cases and that form, again, that bedrock on which you can base your practice. So the most important principles we'll explore in the most relevant cases. That comes right at the end of the course. So that's the 5th module. We'll have a look at the modules in detail over the next few videos. But for now, that's your 5th module. And the reason why we put that at the end is we will build you up to the point where we can then have a look at the most important expert witness cases in South Africa, because that represents a sort of practical application of the theory. So through the first 4 modules, we will give you the theoretical key principles, always tie it into a practical skill. Once we've got that section behind us, we can then start looking at actual cases and how those principles were applied in those cases. And then lastly, just the rules of court. There are a lot of rules of court that could potentially apply to experts, but in fact, there are only a few that are really key to expert evidence and to understanding those principles, and that will give you some very good orientation as to what you're supposed to be doing. And turning to the more practical aspects of the objectives and outcomes, number one, you'll be more persuasive once you finish this course. Why is that? Because you'll understand what you're supposed to be doing much better. And so what goes into your reports, what goes into your oral evidence, etc., will be geared towards the ultimate goal, which is to make you more persuasive. That's the golden thread that runs through this course. How to make you more persuasive. More persuasive to your colleagues when you have a meeting with your opposite number. More persuasive in your written work, such as your joint minute. More persuasive in your expert report. And then more persuasive in your oral presentation in court, meeting with the other expert, meeting with your legal team. So both in your oral work and your written work, those two to integrate, and with the view of making a more persuasive expert. Going back to the point I made earlier, to advance your argument more strongly, more clearly, more persuasively. More confident. Those that know me will know I have a saying that has served me well in my years of practice, and that is, when I know what I'm doing, that gives me a sense of confidence. So I know what I'm doing. In other words, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm familiar with that. I've worked any sort of theoretical knowledge into a practical skill, and that gives me a lot more confidence, and that then ties into persuasiveness. It's very interesting, the relationship between persuasiveness and confidence. And then efficiency is another component that locks in here. So your efficiency, as you know what you're supposed to be doing, you also can discard what is maybe a bit of a sideshow, not quite relevant, and then you become more efficient. You can produce your reports more efficiently. You can conduct assessments more efficiently. You can prepare for court and appear in court more efficiently. And of course, all of that then goes to the business aspect of your practice as to how to run a strong practice. You're persuasive, but you're getting through your work efficiently and in an organized way. And then also this question of being more relaxed. This is a very stressful type of arena to be in, because at the end of the day, it's confrontational. Confrontation always brings physiological responses within human beings. That is part of the job. It can't be escaped. But once you know what you're doing, once you've got your bearings and your confidence comes through, you naturally feel more relaxed. And I think that's another major benefit. I just want to talk about the prescribed text. So the course is based on the South African Medico Legal Reports Expert Witness Guide. The Expert Witness Guide is, as you can see, a comprehensive guide. All of the principles that we cover in this course is dealt with in the guide and summarized and set out in the guide, which is available from the South African Medico Legal Reports. So that's the introduction phase. In the next video, we will have a look at the various chapters which represent the various modules. We look forward to you joining us on this course. It's going to be, I think, very rewarding and enriching, certainly for me to present. I always love presenting and I love training. I always say, and it's so true, that I learn my most when I'm training. But hopefully you get a lot out of this course as well. And it assists you at whatever level you are, whether you're an absolute beginner or you've been practicing for 40 years. Hopefully there are some real nuggets that will help your practice, and I think maybe more importantly even to give you some proper structure to what you're doing, build that confidence and build that persuasiveness. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you in the next video.